There's nothing quite like sitting down and getting started on a new LEGO set, but some LEGO instruction steps are incredibly tedious and can ruin an otherwise enjoyable experience. These are the worst instructions in LEGO sets. The NASA Artemis Space Launch System has an impressive final build, but getting there requires working your way through an incredibly tedious step. When you dump out bag 10, you'll notice that it has a smaller bag inside of it. If you look closely, you'll see that it's filled with 88 of these tap element pieces in gray. That's a lot of the same piece, but surely they can't all be used in one step, right? Well, prepare to be surprised, because on page 112 of the instructions, you'll need to grab all 88 of these pieces and meticulously place them one by one all around the outside of the launch pad to create a safety barricade. Luckily, LEGO also includes this top-down image to really help you out, but it's still a bit of a chore to make sure everything is perfectly aligned. But this is hardly the only spaceship set with some crazy steps. To see what I mean, just check out these pages from 2022's The Razor Crest set. It seems like you'll need to wrap a bunch of chain link pieces around the front and back of each of the ship's two engines for a total of 158 of these elements. At least they break up the monotony over several steps. Oh, and the final result is totally worth the hassle. In a similar vein though, this Technic set released in 2019 calls for 104 links in a single step, and the equally impressive Sandcrawler set requires 152 chain links on page 174. Not every build is as considerate though, and sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and put together 203 chain links in a single go. That's the case with the genuinely fantastic roller coaster set from 2018. This set comes with 4,124 parts, and a full 5% of them are used in this single, extremely long chain. I mean, if you know anything about roller coasters, this shouldn't be too shocking, but there's something about seeing a single step call for that many parts that just really makes you wonder if this is the best way to spend your afternoon. Also, I can't talk about this set without mentioning that it comes with a whopping 530 round 2x2 bricks, all in white. Luckily, these are all spread across almost the entire build. While it's not too surprising that chain links typically get packaged in bulk, there's another piece that seems to come in very large quantities: grill pieces. These humble parts have appeared in nearly 4,000 LEGO sets in more than 40 colors since they were first introduced in 1990, but some sets use way too many of them. The Fender Stratocaster is the perfect set for anyone with music in their heart, but it's got one step that is sure to make anyone's hands cramp up. On page 126 of the instructions, you'll need to fish out a total of 86 of these gray grills and completely cover 3 6x12 plates. While the result is a perfect recreation of an amp, it's easily the worst part of this building experience. However, this is only scratching the surface, because the UCS Venator-class Republic attack cruiser actually comes with even more of this part. A total of 152 of these pieces appear in dark bluish gray in this set. However, you wouldn't really know it by just looking at the set, as most of them are scattered among the interior and exterior of the ship across this set's 1,500 steps. However, there's one set that truly takes the cake when it comes to these grill pieces. The undisputed grill master of the LEGO universe is without any doubt the Empire State Building from 2019. This 14-inch tall set comes with 1,767 pieces, and a staggering 684 of them are tan 1x2 grill elements. That means that these pieces make up 38.7% of the entire set, and these aren't just scattered throughout the build like those bricks in the roller coaster. No, these actually all come at you in a surprisingly small number of steps. Step 169 calls for a total of 110 of these parts, and just a few pages later, on steps 172 and 173, you need another 80 of them. Basically, at every stage of the build, you'll be putting on dozens and dozens of these pieces onto a wide range of SpitBrix. I mean, just look at these images from the instructions, as well as the final build, and it's really little wonder that this is routinely described as one of LEGO's most boring builds. Regardless, this is hardly the only landmark that has some questionable steps. The United States Capitol building contains some of the most tedious and confusing instructions from any set that I've come across. For starters, this set includes several of these 1x1 Technic bricks, these 1x1 bricks with knobs, and these 1x1 angular bricks. SpitBrix. Considering that they all come in white, yeah, there's no way this is going to be confusing, right? Well, luckily LEGO included these handy images whenever these parts are used, so at least you have a fair warning that these things will be a bit tricky, or at least you need to pay a little bit more attention to which 1x1 brick you're picking up. But believe it or not, that's not even the tricky part, because on page 105 of the instructions, you'll need to place 40 of these bricks in 20 sets of 2. Tedious, but fine. Let's do it. Well, just a few pages later, you'll need to do it all over again. You'll keep using these parts over the next several pages in groups of 2 to 10, and by the time you're done, you'll have used all of this set's 178 1x1 angular bricks. Now, there's another very important set that we need to mention here, which is the Eiffel Tower. This set has the reputation of being one of the most repetitive, bland, and boring building experiences of any LEGO set. On page 129 of the set's second instruction book, you'll need to pick out 144 1x1 round black studs and meticulously place them all around the exterior of the frame. Look, in a set with more than 10,000 pieces and 70 different bags, this was never going to be an easy build, but this is a bit ridiculous. The NES set from 2020 might just be the most faithful version of Mario that LEGO has ever released and perfectly captures all of the original title's 8-bit glory. Unfortunately, that much detail requires an equal amount of effort. Between pages 149 and 179, or in other words, all of bags 17, 18, and 19, you'll be placing hundreds of multicolored tiles ranging from 1x1 to 2x2 along the set's rotating display. Make no mistake, this can be seen as a bit annoying and tedious, but beauty has its price. If placing a few hundred 1x1 tiles isn't your idea of a good time, well, I can't blame you. But it means that you're probably going to hate putting together these next two sets. And as I show you, go tap that subscribe button and like button if you're enjoying this video. The world map is by part count the largest LEGO set ever released as of this video. However, that doesn't mean it's necessarily the most fun. Much like the Eiffel Tower, this set requires a tremendous amount of repetition. If you've never put together one of these art sets, then you might not be totally prepared for what you're getting into. Just take a look at the very first step of the instructions for an example of what I mean. That's it. That's the entire step. Just put 256 1x1 round plates and tiles onto the background, and then do it again, and again, and again. In total, you'll repeat this basic process 40 times. Thankfully, LEGO at least included these super handy charts for every single step, but it's still an absolute slog for those who didn't realize what they were signing up for when purchasing this massive set. If this seems like a bit too much, but you still want some LEGO art, the Great Wave is a scaled down option with a lot more variety, but it's still got a few finger-busting steps. However, if this is even too much for you, there's always Van Gogh's Starry Night. This set is radically different from any of LEGO's other art sets in that it doesn't require you to place hundreds or thousands of tiny pieces onto a series of base plates, but that doesn't mean that it's an easy build. I mean, if you look at the background, you'll notice that the several shades of blue are all lined up horizontally, and that's because that's how the background gets built. Starting on page 93, you'll empty out bag 5 and get to work. The first thing you'll notice here is that this bag is almost entirely made up of blue plates in no fewer than 6 different shades of blue. For the next 40 pages of the instructions, you'll slowly build the background layer by layer until you're finally left with this massive blue wall. The colors of blue bricks are so similar to each other that LEGO anticipated that some builders would use the wrong colors in the wrong spots. So this bag includes several extras of each color brick just in case, which results in this unusual looking pile of bricks being displayed in the instructions once you're done. Other sets such as Seinfeld require you to cover the floor with pieces as if you're building a puzzle. This set requires you to lay a total of 241 pieces all over the floor, which takes over 10 steps to do so. This could get very tiring very fast. But even this is nowhere near the most tedious LEGO set that I've ever come across. That dubious honor has to go to Captain America's shield. I mean, just by looking at this set, it's obvious that it's going to have some repetitive parts, but trust me, no matter how bad you think it might be, it's worse. Let's check out some of the most egregious steps. The tedium kicks off early at step 9, where you have to build the basic shape. Already, it should be apparent just how this is going to go. You'll be repeating every single part of this build up to 36 times, so get comfy. Just take a look at a few of the later steps, and you'll quickly realize that this pattern doesn't change. Once again, the final build looks amazing on a shelf, but that doesn't change the fact that this is just an extremely repetitive and tedious build. I mean, just look at these steps. There's very little variety in this set. You build the same thing over and over again. Now, some people might like this, while other LEGO fans may just find this to be outright boring. It's well known by many LEGO fans that this set includes this famous step, where you just need to dump in 284 1x1 round studs into the bottle to simulate some water. That's almost 30% of the set's 962 pieces. What's slightly less known though is why this set comes with exactly 284 of these parts. Why not an even 300? Well, as it turns out, the designer did originally want 300 studs to be included in this set, but there was a small issue. You see, when LEGO makes 1x1 round studs, they come in batches of 284, so it proved to be much simpler to just use one batch per set. Next up, let's take a quick look at the Silent Mary from 2017. Looking at this set, you might think that the most common piece here would be this Technic pin connector that the ship uses as cannons. While this set does come with 29 of these, the real stars of the show here are actually the 124 1x1 round studs in pearl gold. These things are used all over this build and make up much of the railing all along the deck of the ship, as well as decorations underneath the windows at the rear. Overall, this build comes with more than 200 pearl gold elements, including 44 of these 2x1 half pyramid bricks. If you want one of these for yourself though, you'll need to part with a considerable amount of your own gold, as even used copies of this set sell for about $250 these days. However, if you want to dive into your very own Scrooge McDuck style vault full of pearl gold studs, then look no further than the Harry Potter Hogwarts Crest set from the LEGO art line. The LEGO art theme is well known for being big boxes of different colored studs, but no set offers more of them in gold than this one, with a truly staggering 604. Now, the funny thing is that these aren't even the most common pieces in this set. Nope, this box also includes 630 1x1 round studs in metallic silver, which makes this one of the sparkliest sets that LEGO has ever released. If we're looking for the art build with the most studs of a single color, that's undoubtedly the Star Wars The Sith set, with its 877 round studs. I'll give you one guess as to what color they come in. Yup, it's black. If it seems like LEGO uses a lot of these 1x1 round studs in their sets, you're right. In fact, these are the most commonly used LEGO pieces in sets just in general, but it's hardly just studs that LEGO uses by the truckload. The Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world, so when it was announced that LEGO was releasing a version of the iconic structure, many fans anticipated an equally impressive set. Once the final product was revealed though, people were more than a little disappointed, and not just because the build's final height was only a measly 10 inches or 26 centimeters. This architecture set comes with 208 pieces, but the problem is that 54% of these pieces are just these 1x1 round bricks in light gray. Yup, there are 112 of these pieces in this set. This boring build and bland appearance has earned this set the dubious honor of being the lowest rated LEGO architecture set ever released. However, it seems that the LEGO architecture line has several offerings that make an abundant use of a single part. This isn't super surprising since many large buildings have a pretty unified and repetitive look, but that can sometimes lead to some fairly boring sets. While the Burj Khalifa is a pretty small, quick build, some landmarks are a little bit more complicated. One of the most accurate depictions of any real-world building that LEGO has ever put out is the very underrated Roby House from 2011. Unlike the Burj Khalifa and Empire State Building, this Chicago landmark and museum isn't exactly a household name, but fans of urban architecture have long held it as a masterpiece, and LEGO's designers really did a fantastic job of recreating the house's intricate signature brickwork. At first glance, it might look like this set makes generous use of masonry bricks in dark red, but a slightly closer look reveals the truth, which is somehow much cooler and much scarier at the same time. To create these incredible lines throughout this build, this set makes use of 268 1x1 plates in dark red, but that's just the appetizer. The main course here, so to speak, is this set's absolutely mind-boggling 771 1x2 plates in the same color. Between these two elements, that's a total of 1,039 of the set's 2,276 pieces. Now, out of all of LEGO's many sets that recreate famous world landmarks, there's one that has a special place in the hearts of many builders, though maybe not for the best reason. The Tower Bridge from 2010 might be the most polarizing set that LEGO has ever released. While everyone agrees that the build is a largely accurate rendition of London's most famous bridge, and that it looks truly stunning sitting on a shelf, the building process is enough to cause some people to completely avoid building this set. Why? Well, it seems that of this build's 4,287 parts, 566 of them are just these 1x1 cheese slopes in tan, which are used to round up the corners of the two towers. While that's less than the Empire State Building's 684 grill plates, these cheese slopes are notorious for busting fingers and leaving builders' hands just a little bit sore. On top of these slopes, though, this set also includes 96 1x6 plates, 98 1x1 plates, 110 1x2 jumper plates, and 184 1x1 bricks, all in tan. Although famous buildings and landmarks make up many of LEGO's largest sets, there's another category of massive builds that I only briefly touched on earlier: vehicles. Whether it's small-scale recreations of larger-than-life construction equipment or your very own version of an iconic spaceship, LEGO's got you covered. Let's start with what might be the most famous LEGO set ever released, the UCS Millennium Falcon. Yeah, the set with over 7,500 parts, which was the largest LEGO set at the time of its release. However, this set uses an incredible range of different parts, 724 unique elements to be exact. What this means is that none of these pieces appear in crazy quantities, with the most common being 105 of these 2x3 light bluish-gray plates, just barely beating out the 102 1x2 black grill plates. However, the first edition of the UCS Falcon blows this out of the water. Despite having more than 2,000 fewer pieces, this earlier version is far less varied in its parts usage. This set includes 243 of these same 2x3 plates, as well as 84 2x4 plates and 131 1x2s in the same light bluish-gray color. This set definitely takes a long time to build. But yet, there's another set that features even more copies of a single piece, the Ultimate Collector's Series AT-AT. This set was originally released in 2021, and for LEGO, designing a set this tall with 4 movable legs was no small challenge. Therefore, the final product here makes use of a tremendous number of Technic pins to keep it all together. Among this build's 6,785 pieces, you'll find 151 of these blue friction pins, 326 blue connector pins, and 327 black pins on top of more than 100 other mixed Technic pins and axles. If that seems like a lot of Technic pins, it is, but it's nowhere near the top of the list. As it turns out, the humble Technic pin is the 5th most common LEGO element of all time. These unsung heroes of the LEGO world pop up in sets across every theme and often come in truly massive numbers, with 11 sets containing more than 500 of them. I'm not going to run down that entire list, but the top 3 are each worth a quick mention. At number 3, it's the Crawler Crane set. This build comes with 2,883 parts, and nearly a quarter of them, 689 to be exact, are these simple black Technic pins. Just ahead of that, the Cat D11 bulldozer uses 707 of them, making up 18% of its 3,854 pieces, and at the top of the list, the LEGO set with the most Technic pins is 2016's Bucket Wheel Excavator set, which comes with an absolutely ridiculous quantity of 724 pins, which is right around 18% of the set's total pieces. Now, you may recall way back at the start of this video, I was talking about the LEGO art sets and their overabundance of 1x1 studs. Well, as it turns out, these sets weren't the first to try this building technique, and believe it or not, the original LEGO Mosaic line somehow managed to go even further off the rails when it came to including large numbers of a single element. These sets were pretty much identical to the more modern art line, except that they used square 1x1 plates instead of round studs. Oh, and they only included parts in black, a few different shades of gray, as well as white. While that might seem like a pretty limited color palette, it was still possible to create some fairly detailed images. However, since these sets only included these colors, they did come with massive numbers of each. For example, the Mosaic Tiger included 360 1x1 plates in light gray and white, 450 of them in dark gray and very light gray, and 540 in black to make up the bulk of the set's 2,217 parts. But not to be outdone, the Mosaic Dino came with roughly similar numbers, though it's worth mentioning that of the Dino's 2,847 bricks, 1,170 of them were white 1x1 plates. Of course, I also can't forget to mention the final Mosaic set, which LEGO released more than a decade later in 2016, the Personalized Mosaic Portrait, which includes 4,502 parts and the funniest inventory I've ever seen for a set. Opening up this box reveals a brick separator, one 48x48 base plate, and 900 each of 1x1 plates in black, light bluish gray, dark bluish gray, white, and LEGO's iconic yellow color. Of course, there's also the infamous world map set, which you probably expected to see somewhere in this video, because yeah, look at the set inventory for the pieces in this set. There are 3 different colors of tiles that have over 1,000 pieces each included in this set, which is just crazy to think about. But the insanity doesn't stop there, because take a look at how many 1x1 white studs are in this set. Yup, 3,064 of them. That's just insane. Now, although these sets have a lot of repetitive pieces, they're not necessarily the most difficult LEGO sets to build. As a quick example of what I'm talking about, check out Colombo, released under the Fortnite line in 2025. With 2 minifigures and over 1,000 parts, this is a super detailed model that's a great toy as well as a nice display piece. And while most of the build is fantastic, there's one step that may catch you off guard. On step 74, you'll need to fish out 16 of these sticks with holders, as well as 16 of these brightly colored diamonds. These are actually pretty rare pieces, only ever appearing in a handful of sets, and this build is the only one to feature them in this color. So getting 16 of them is pretty nice. This is a rather large quantity of pieces though to attach, but this is definitely not too bad compared to some of the other instruction steps that we'll see later. The pieces all click together without too much effort, and the result is quite stable, and the entire step only takes a minute or 2. But you see, we're just scratching the surface. Take a look at the Super Mario 64 question block set. It's a fan favorite thanks to its brilliant internal mechanisms, meticulous attention to detail, and some hidden secrets as well. However, that doesn't change the fact that it features some of the most tedious steps I've ever had to deal with. From the outside, it's pretty obvious that this set's going to use a lot of yellow tiles. In fact, this set comes with nearly 250 yellow tiles in a range of shapes and sizes that are mostly used to cover the exterior of the build. These pieces all get used in a surprisingly small number of steps, but they're mostly spread out throughout the entire build, meaning that each section never lasts for too long. Starting pretty early on step 49, you'll spend a few pages placing a few dozen tiles to leave the outline of the question mark. This is actually a super clever design, and it's something that the set returns to near the very end, where you'll need to create the final 2 sides of the cube. However, there's one step in the middle that has earned this set a spot in today's video. On page 148 of the instructions, you'll need to grab 64 of these inverted 2x2 tiles and place them all over this 16x16 plate to form the top of the cube. While certainly a tedious step, this isn't likely to leave your fingers too sore, unlike this next set. The Pac-Man arcade is a blast of 1980s nostalgia that's sure to have you digging through the couch looking for extra quarters. While the final build looks fantastic sitting on a shelf, there's at least one step that's enough to make even the most hardcore builders stop and wonder if it's worth the effort. About halfway through the instructions, on step 158, you'll need to grab 64 of these yellow bars, 64 of these black tubes, and a jaw-dropping 128 of these Technic pins. If the sheer number of pieces wasn't enough to scare you off, this step itself might just do the trick. To start, you'll need to assemble 2 Technic pins, a Technic connector, and one of the bar elements. While this is pretty simple, the amount of force needed to slide the bar through the Technic pins is significant, and having to do it a total of 64 times is no small task. Luckily, this is the second to last step of bag 8, so it's a perfect time afterwards to take a small break to stretch out your aching fingers. While using 256 pieces in a single step is certainly very rare, it's not the step with the most parts in today's video. You see, that honor goes to 2021's Bird of Paradise from the Botanical line. It's no secret that I love these sets, and the theme has been a massive win for LEGO and fans alike. However, even the best theme can have some weird steps, and the Bird of Paradise features one of the craziest steps I've ever seen in a LEGO set. At the very end of the build on step 107, you'll open up bag 5 to find that it contains only 2 smaller bags, each featuring several 1x1 round studs. Next, you'll mix them all up and dump them into the flower pot to simulate dirt. Now, I know this technique has been used a few times before. Both the bonsai tree and ship in a bottle sets have similar steps, just smaller. The bonsai tree used an even 200 pieces across 4 colors, while the ship used 284 pieces in translucent blue. This build, though, uses 300 pieces, 100 in reddish brown and 200 in medium nougat. Don't get me wrong, this is a great set, but I can't help but feel that the decision to use 300 1x1 studs was just to increase the set's piece count. In the end, these parts alone make up about 25% of the set's 1,172 parts. Now, on the topic of flowers, the flower bouquet from 2021 is a great addition to any garden, real or plastic. Made up of nearly a dozen unique flowers, this build features a bunch of clever designs and unique parts that are a hallmark of the botanicals line. But there's one part that's bad enough to turn a walk in the garden into a living nightmare. Near the end of the build, you'll assemble this lavender flower. Despite the seeming complexity, the entire build is carried out in a single step on page 65. For this, you'll need 18 of these plant stems, 9 brown rods, 9 golden leaves, 9 golden crowns, and a staggering 54 of these small flowers. As you can see, the instructions are broken up into 4 smaller sub-steps, and the build is pretty simple. You just have to do it 9 times in a row. This build has a lot of small pieces that are easily dropped or lost, and putting that many flowers onto the plant stems is extremely tedious. Next up, turning to some non-botanical flowers, the Vincent van Gogh Sunflower set is the perfect addition to the fantastic Starry Night from 2022. Much like the original painting, this set is a masterclass in color usage, featuring several shades of yellow and gold. As you can probably tell by looking at the set, this entire build features a handful of repetitive steps. For example, building the frame alone takes the first 6 bags. From there, the bulk of the build is assembling these background sections one by one. This really is nearly the entire build, running from pages 60 to 182 and covering bags 7 to 23. But we're not done yet. We still need to build the iconic sunflowers, and this is where the real tedium sets in. Beginning on page 200, you'll start with the first flower, and things don't seem so bad at first. For the most part, you'll be putting together several 2x1 plates with clips, roof tiles with lattice, and 1x1 plates all in warm gold. First, you'll need 2 of each, then 8, then 2, and then 2 more. Then you'll assemble 4 with slight variations, and you'll finally wrap up with 5 more petals to finish the flower. The first flower. You'll repeat variations of this for most of the rest of the build, while you assemble the remaining flowers. In the end, you'll use a total of 106 1x1 plates, 112 1x2 plates, and 141 roof tiles, on top of about 100 other assorted elements in this same warm gold color to finish off this genuinely gorgeous build. The set relies heavily on these select few pieces to make sure that the final result is a truly great display piece. Now, sometimes you can just tell by looking at a set that the build is going to use a lot of the same pieces, and that's certainly true for 2020's International Space Station. Just looking at the box art, it's clear that you'll be assembling a lot of solar panels, and the build doesn't disappoint on that front. Starting with bag 6, you'll dump out all of the solar panel elements, as well as several other parts that you'll need. At the start of this section, you'll see that you'll be building this assembly 8 times. I've got to say that I really appreciate it when LEGO tells us that we'll be repeating the steps from the beginning, instead of surprising us with an 8x at the very end. Over the next few pages, you'll put together each of the solar panels over just 6 simple steps. While this is one of the easiest sets in today's video, it's still kind of a dull way to wrap up an otherwise fun build. I'm just glad that these are printed pieces though. If this had been dozens of stickers, it truly would have been tedious. Every year, LEGO releases a few themed sets around Halloween, and they're always impressive. Of all of the holiday themed sets though, the Haunted House might just be my favorite. While this set is jam-packed with all manner of ghosts and goblins, there's one part of the build that's somehow even scarier. Step 440 of this 3,231 piece build is all about building the fully functional elevator, and this is where the set goes from a little creepy to outright terrifying. In this one step, you'll need a total of 151 chain links. Unlike the Bird of Paradise though, these all need to be assembled into a single chain. While this might be one of the single most tedious steps of all time, it's hardly the worst. The longest chain ever required in a LEGO set is, without a doubt, in the amazing Loop Coaster. This set has nearly 4,000 pieces and stands nearly 2 feet tall, so the fact that this build requires an equally massive chain should come as no surprise. On step 452, you'll need to assemble a mind-bending 254 chain links to get this ride up and running. The final result, though, is more than worth the effort. Unsurprisingly, larger sets are more likely to have more repetitive steps. As one example, check out the Daily Bugle, and you'll immediately notice that this building is going to require you to put together a lot of windows. Step 65 tells you to put together 40 windows in 4 groups of 10. Now, on its own, this isn't anything special, but this is a very tall building with several floors. each of which has its own windows. By the time you're done with this set, you'll have assembled these pieces in the exact same way 22 times. Overall, this set comes with 347 of these pieces. Yeah, 347 windows. That's nearly 10% of all the pieces in this massive build. Wow. The Death Star 2 from 2005 was one of LEGO's first giant sets with nearly 3,500 pieces. While the set was a hit at the time, the build hasn't aged terribly well and is considered pretty subpar by modern standards, and it relies heavily on a select few pieces to build this entire thing. It's a tedious build for sure. After building the frame, you'll get to start on the station itself. Starting on page 40, you'll spend 17 pages putting together this monstrosity of a section. This entire section is tricky. Each step calls for several parts, where they go isn't clearly shown, and the whole thing is kinda just a mess. And then you have to do it all again a second time. But wait, there's more. Next, you'll need to assemble the outer shell. Each of these sections is largely similar, but each one is different enough that you're not doing the exact same thing. While that kind of variety is nice, the fact that they're all so close can make it easy to miss a small detail here or there. In the middle of all of this, though, is the real culprit that makes this one of LEGO's most tedious but also most fun. Yeah, I'm talking about the laser. Here, you'll need to stack 24 1x1 round bricks on top of each other with no internal support, leading to a design that's as fragile as it is repetitive. All around the main laser, there are 8 sets of 4 more round 1x1 bricks, each topped with a translucent green antenna. As if that weren't bad enough, these are only attached to a single stud. It'll fall off with the slightest touch. So while this might not be the most repetitive build out there, it's likely one that you'll need to fix over and over again. Opening a new LEGO set is always fun. The sound of the bricks tumbling out, the exciting new minifigures, wait, is that a sticker sheet? Yeah, by now it's well known that LEGO has a serious sticker problem, but I'm shocked at just how far LEGO has taken things in recent years. Let's explore the most tedious examples. Coming hot off the line, it's the Lambo V12 Vision set, which has one of the most ridiculous sticker instruction steps that manages to surprise even the most experienced builders. On step 66, you're told to place 2 extremely small red stickers onto the side of these 1x3 rounded plates. Yes, the side of the plates. It's ridiculous how thin these stickers are. I sure hope you have steady hands. On top of this egregious step, you'll also need to apply 28 additional stickers throughout the build, which makes for a very tedious experience considering that this set only has a total of 230 pieces. If you choose not to apply the small red stickers, your Lamborghini will not have tail lights, because that's the exact purpose of these tiny stickers, which actually look pretty good on the final model. As rare as this is, LEGO first did this back in 1986 when they instructed builders to place this tiny shell sticker on the side of a 1x2 plate. Certainly not the most pleasant building experience, but LEGO has evolved a lot since the 80s, and in this day and age, you'd think that we'd be past this point. I guess not. In fact, this LEGO Marvel set proves that LEGO still places stickers in extremely inconvenient locations. When building the agent's car, you'll need to place a sticker on the underside of an arched fender piece, which is certainly an uncommon location for a LEGO sticker. In total, you'll do this 4 times, which has proven to be quite repetitive and frustrating for many builders. It's an unfortunate sticker placement, that's for sure. Now, one of the most debated topics pertaining to stickers is their use on transparent LEGO pieces. It's actually quite common to put transparent stickers onto transparent pieces. While the results can be impressive, the process is tedious. Not only do you need to worry about getting the sticker placement correct, but as with any clear stickers, any dust or fingerprints are going to be extremely noticeable. One of my favorite examples of a clear sticker can be found in the Hyperspeed Pursuit set from the Space Police 3 line. I remember building this set as a kid. It's a really fun build, and the single sticker sheet isn't too bad. But there's one step that really stands out for all the wrong reasons. In the second instruction booklet, there's a step that seems to call for a completely clear sticker to be placed onto the completely clear windshield. At least, that's what it looks like in the printed instruction images. But a closer inspection reveals the truth. These space criminals have been very busy. It seems that this set's villains, the Skull Twins, have made more than a few enemies, and have even absorbed a few shots at their windshield. While this sticker was a bit annoying, it's got nothing on this next entry. 2021's Hogsmeade Village Visit is a nice 851-piece build, with some great renditions of the Three Broomsticks pub and Honeyduke's sweet shop. However, it's this second building here that's still giving some builders nightmares even after all of these years. In the first book of the instructions, you'll need to grab 2 of these round, transparent wall elements. Next, you'll need to peel off these massive stickers and very delicately place them onto these rounded walls. As you may expect, this is much easier said than done, and even the slightest error will stand out like a sore thumb thanks to the sticker's size, grid pattern, and the fact that it's front and center on the build. Oh, and you'll need to do this twice. Yeah, that's a tall order for even the most experienced builders. This was especially frustrating for some, since just a year prior in 2020, LEGO had released the Diagon Alley set, which included these impressive printed windows. So why didn't LEGO just use them here? Well, there are 2 main reasons. For one, stickers are much cheaper. While the $450 Diagon Alley with over 5,000 pieces can justify adding these pricey pieces, the much smaller, sub-$100 Hogsmeade build just wasn't worth it for LEGO. Secondly, and most importantly though, printing on a large curved piece is incredibly difficult when compared to printing on flat pieces. But when looking into this, I stumbled across a tip that might just save you some trouble if you're ever struggling with sticker placement. All you need to do is lightly spray the piece that you want to add to your build with some window cleaner. You really don't need to add much. Then just place the sticker on the piece and you'll notice that it doesn't stick right away. This gives you a few seconds to slide the sticker around to make sure that it's perfectly centered. After it dries in a few minutes, voila, you've got a perfectly centered sticker. That tip might come in handy because as bad as placing stickers on the outside of curved pieces is, wait until you try placing them on the inside. It turns out that placing stickers on the inside of curved bricks is pretty common and is spread across a range of LEGO themes. Just take a peek at this step with a large sticker inside a curved piece, which occurs in 2024's Eye of Sauron set. Yeah, it seems like even Sauron himself isn't immune to the curse of LEGO stickers, and you'll need to do this a total of 4 times. This occurs throughout the third and final instruction booklet. These stickers are all hidden inside of the build, meaning that no one will notice if you really mess up, but for a set this large and expensive, it's still a risky sticker placement. A much smaller set with the same sort of problematic step is 2021's Fluffy Encounter from LEGO Harry Potter. This 397 brick set doesn't come with many stickers, and most of them are easy to place. However, on step 91 of the instructions, you'll need to stick one of them onto the inside of this round cone element. Again, this sticker is pretty hidden on the backside of the build, and for a small set that wasn't necessarily designed as a display piece, this isn't too bad. But there's one set where these tricky stickers are on full display front and center. The Space Shuttle Discovery from 2021 is a truly impressive display piece, made up of 2,354 bricks and measuring about 60 centimeters long. That's nearly 24 inches. When the cargo bay doors are closed, there's zero issue whatsoever, and nobody would ever think twice about the nightmare that building this set can be for some people. However, once the cargo bay doors are opened, the truth is quickly revealed. The entire interior of the cargo bay is covered in a total of 24 super shiny stickers that each need to be placed on the inside of a curved brick. This is, to put it nicely, a complete and utter pain that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Not only is placing 24 stickers on these parts difficult enough, but they're all bright, reflective, and really stand out against LEGO's more traditionally matte color palette. Any error in placing these stickers is going to stand out like a sore thumb, which is quite unfortunate. But regardless, even if LEGO instructs you to place stickers on smooth, flat bricks, it doesn't mean that the set is a breeze. Case in point, the Maersk Triple E set is one of the most infamous LEGO sets of all time, and this image should tell you all you need to know. Yeah, let's zoom in on that sticker sheet a bit. Yep, you're seeing that correctly. In front of you are 133 virtually identical stickers that will all need to be applied. Talk about a tedious building experience. Overall, this build is actually pretty fun, at least for the first 2 bags. But bag 3 is all about building the ship's cargo, and things get tedious very fast. Just look at this step, for example. Here, you need to build the exact same set of bricks, and apply a total of 10 stickers a whopping 6 times. Yeah, that's almost half of this set's stickers in a single step. But hey, at least they're all on flat surfaces. However, the Maersk EE isn't the only iconic ship with some sticker problems. The UCS Millennium Falcon is one of the largest LEGO sets ever released, with just over 7,500 pieces, and includes this surprisingly small sticker sheet. Most of these are actually fairly easy to apply, though there are two where LEGO kind of dropped the ball. On page 121 of the instructions, you'll need to build a small console that uses multiple of the set's stickers. This is a pretty small sub-build, but the fact that it uses two 1x2 stickers is a bit of a challenge. You see, the real issue is with just how LEGO tells you to put them on. Instead of applying the sticker to the 1x2 slanted brick right away, you're supposed to build the entire console and then apply the stickers afterwards, which is a nightmare if you have large fingers, because that 2x4 tile sticks out just enough to make this way more complicated than it needs to be. While there's nothing stopping you from doing it in any order you want, it does strike me as a strange instruction step. This order of operation is very inconvenient. It doesn't need to be this difficult. What isn't difficult though is subscribing to my channel. Now, while I was doing research for this video, there was a trend that I kept noticing over and over again. LEGO cars are some of the absolute worst offenders when it comes to stickers. And you may already know this, but let me tell you, it's getting ridiculous at this point. Now, fans of Speed Champions have struggled with stickers for a while, as these sets routinely feature some of the largest sticker sheets of any sets. But even the most die-hard supporters are likely to be surprised at just how bad things can get. The Too Fast, Too Furious Nissan Skyline set was a big hit with fans of the film series and LEGO alike, but similar to many Speed Champions sets, it was plagued by horrible sticker placements. On steps 96 through 98, you'll need to grab two of these tiny wall elements. You'll then need to apply a total of 4 super thin stickers to these tiny parts. This is exactly as annoying as it sounds, and since these stickers detail the front of the car, there's tremendous pressure for you to get it exactly right, or else your skyline is going to look a little bit funky. At least LEGO attempted to ease the pain a bit by including a printed 1x3 plate, so builders wouldn't need to apply a thin GTR sticker to the side of this piece. Despite this, it doesn't take away from the fact that these are truly some of the most stressful and tedious stickers ever. But yet, it doesn't even stop there. In the same franchise, the Fast and Furious 1970 Dodge Charger set was a largely hassle-free build, but it has one of the strangest stickers I've ever seen. On step 41, you're going to need to apply a tiny sticker on a much larger piece. It's quite an odd instruction step. Since the sticker itself is clear and the design on that sticker is round, there's not too much pressure on getting this one exactly right, but it's certainly an odd choice nonetheless. Out of all of the Speed Champion sets though, the worst offender might just be the Oracle Red Bull Racing RB20 from the Formula 1 sub-theme. This set comes with 251 parts and a whopping 31 stickers. That's 1 sticker for every 8 bricks. Yikes. Like the rest of the F1 line, this car has all of these stickers because it needs to show off all of the official sponsors, and this team has a lot of them. While every Formula 1 car has sponsors and stickers, this set's stickers actually manage to affect its marketing. Most LEGO Speed Champions sets are rated for ages 10+, but the Red Bull car is rated for ages 18+. Why? Well, according to LEGO's Chief Marketing Officer, Julia Golden, it's because in some countries, Red Bull is only available for consumers 18 years and older. Although this is not the case in the US, countries such as Poland have set age limits on energy drinks. Other countries such as Lithuania and Latvia have similar laws. Since LEGO sells sets in these countries, they need to abide by these marketing laws. I thought this was particularly interesting, so I figured I'd point it out to you guys. Moving on, the question that comes up whenever people start talking about small LEGO stickers is, well, why doesn't LEGO just print the pieces? While that's a very valid question with a complicated answer in terms of manufacturing capabilities and costs, it's worth pointing out that even printed pieces can't save you from stickers. One of the strangest stickers I've ever come across is in this Ferrari set that was released in 2023. With 261 parts, this set is in line with the others I've mentioned, but it has a much smaller sticker sheet. Sadly though, it's not all smooth sailing. Pretty early on in the build, you'll notice these unique printed parts. You'll then also notice that the instructions tell you to place a tiny sticker on the side of each one before attaching it to the larger build. Yeah, that's right, you need to place a sticker on a printed piece. why not just print it on both sides? Well, you see, for Lego, it's a lot easier to print on just one side than it is to print on two sides. That's because Lego would need to keep track of which side was already printed and then print the correct second side. This proves to be quite difficult for small pieces like these, and more expensive from a manufacturing perspective. Therefore, rather than introducing a piece that is both more expensive to produce and more prone to misprints, Lego just opted to print one side and ask builders to help decorate the second side with a nice, shiny sticker. Despite being a bit tedious for builders, from a business perspective, this was likely the correct decision by Lego. But hey, on a positive note, at least we don't need to apply stickers to minifigures anymore. Yeah, when Lego first released minifigures, the only things printed were their faces, and their torsos needed stickers. So there's always hope that one day, maybe, we'll stop seeing stickers in Lego sets, or at least not as many. However, it's not just stickers that can be difficult, because sometimes the instructions themselves are confusing. Click here to see the most confusing Lego instructions, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe.